I quit my job for YouTube and 3x my office salary, finally hitting that sweet 6-figure mark. I'll show you my income breakdown so you can see where the money comes from, learn from my mistakes, find out why it took me so long, what I would have done differently so you can fast track your own journey and do it in a fraction of the time. You are not going to see me show this anywhere else but here. First off, let me just say it is not lost on me that I've gotten very lucky to be able to do YouTube full time. So shout out to those of you watching. I couldn't have done it without you. This is not my main channel. This is my husband's channel. I've actually just taken over for a few videos because he hasn't posted in a year. And I really want you all to see the beautifully satisfying organization of my business finances thanks to him, like 100%. So my channel is in the automotive space. It's all about motorcycles. Let me give you a bit of a background from it for where it started to what it is today, because this is where most of the mistakes are. So you're going to want to listen closely to this part. So I posted my first video in June of 2016. So I'm going to show you into my analytics and we can start looking at my channel in the back end from the first year. Okay, so this is my channel today. It's January 2025 that I'm recording this video. I've got about 240,000 subscribers, and this is the back end of my channel in 2016. So I made $105, and this was back before YouTube made you wait to get monetized. You could get monetized pretty much right away, but I think actually based on this, I think I still would have qualified at least by the end of that year. This is the second year on YouTube. Revenue went a little bit up to $500. And at this point I had affiliates and I think Patreon pretty much from the very beginning, but I didn't start tracking my finance percentages. But at least based on when I did start tracking finances in the mid 2023, affiliates and memberships are less than 20% of my income. So the bulk has been AdSense pretty much since the beginning, but that's only very recently starting to change. Here it is in 2018, so a little more, made $1,200 that whole year. In 2019, made $1,800. 2020 made $8,000, and I had a huge gap. So granted, I'm still working my office job full time. I was designing home and holiday decor products, making $55,000 a year when I quit. Here I got screenshots of the more recent years. So 2021, that was at the end of 2021 is when I took Daryl Eves' course, Channel Jumpstart, and I highly recommend it, and you're about to see why. 2022, 41,000 was in AdSense. And again, still haven't been tracking, but just think affiliates and memberships like Patreon and YouTube channel members, like 20%. Next year was 46,000. And then this was the first year that I had sponsorships. I emailed 11 brands and 8 of them responded, and sponsorships ended up being almost double what AdSense was for 2023. 2024, this was all of last year AdSense. And at the very end of 2023, so all of 24, I had a brand agency doing sponsorships instead. So they were able to earn much more than I did. So I'm going to show you that in a minute. So now I'm going to show you finances of all of 2024. So that's income and expenses and how it's broken down and where my income comes from on YouTube. And it's still not ideal. I'm still adding some more income streams. Daryl, YouTube genius behind so many huge channels, and you don't even know it because he's not on camera. He's behind the scenes. Okay, so now into Artisan Money Analytics. So right now I'm on the cash flow page, and this is for all of 2024. So yeah, this isn't a ton of money, but it's more than I ever could have made as a designer. And as a designer, every year I would work so hard and maybe get a 3% raise. But with YouTube, every year, at least since taking Daryl's course, it's been like a 30% growth in revenue, as you saw on the AdSense. And I still haven't done my own product or digital product, so that's something I'm planning on doing this year. Just added merch. I don't know how profitable merch is, but I just like, I want to have it. And it was so easy to one of my friends who has a lot of experience to do it. So he did that. But the big thing is I know of a running channel that has really similar subscribers to me. And he created a course to supplement his channel based on running. And within the first month made like over 100,000. So what I'm working on this year is creating a course based off of the more popular education videos on my channel, which is slow speed skills and short rider tips with really big bikes. Okay, so let's break down the income. So the biggest percent was actually sponsors for 2024. That was 62,000. And then next was AdSense. So that's pretty new for 2024 and 2023, where AdSense was just below, where it wasn't my biggest part of the income. So slowly trying to grow more so that this percent gets smaller, but the dollars still get bigger. So affiliates, all my links below, was about $25,000. And then memberships, which is Patreon and YouTube memberships, it's about 3,000. So what is that, like 2%? And then miscellaneous income. So I think this is, I also teach a dirt bike course, but I only do that a couple of times a year. And sometimes people send money, like they'll send a tank of gas through PayPal. And I don't advertise that, but it's on my Instagram link. So if someone's really searching for it, they'll find it and they might send from there. And if you're wondering, like, okay, so my cash flow is only 4% for 2024. I only kept $5,000 for the business. So what happened there? So now I'll show you everything I spend on too. By the way, this software I'm using, Cody designed it. He's a software engineer and he also has experience in cybersecurity coding. He brought that experience and also his obsession with finances to create this. Like Mint.com that actually just went bankrupt, they were free because they sold your information. That's how they could afford to be free. So that's why Artisan Money charges you, because your information will never be sold and the money will only be made by the person signing up. So for expenses, my biggest expense were contractors. So that's editors, videographers, some admin, and my admin, something she's done is manage social media and also analyze it. She was also translating my channel into Spanish. And the next biggest is owner's pay. So that's me, 28%. And I turned my salary off for a few months because of a big mistake. And I'll talk about that in next week's video. So generally I only pay myself about $55,000, which is what I made at my office job. Because what I make on the channel, I rather put it back into the channel. And pretty much as I make in the channel, rather than give myself a raise, I really rather just put it back into the channel. I'm much more passionate about YouTube and making videos, making the best videos I can. So yeah, I was complaining about that office raise only being 3%. And I do the same to myself now that I'm in charge of my salary. I'm like, you can get 3%, and that's it. Rather give bonuses to my team so I can keep them, because it's hard to find good staff, let me tell you. I got very lucky with the ones I got now. So 11% was travel expenses. I travel a lot in order to make these videos, a lot to California. I'm in Georgia, and it just happens that a lot of really cool motorcycle events, courses, people are in California. 10% is recurring expenses. So recurring expenses is a bunch of like different softwares. So like Artisan for one, and then there's also software I use like vidIQ and TubeBuddy. So I use those for SEO optimization, giving me good keywords, testing thumbnails after a video is published. It'll rotate out different thumbnails and test them. Sometimes I'll test titles, but I try not to do that as a first resort. There's also Epidemic Sound I pay for, so that's music. Next is taxes. I pay about 10% in taxes every year. 13,000 was for 2024. Over into budgets, I can show you a little more specifically the income. So with YouTube, income and expenses ranges so much month to month. Yeah, some things are pretty consistent, but for one thing, since I'm a motorcycle channel, it is pretty weather dependent. Yeah, I'd love to have a backlog, but usually in the winter, my videos are a lot of this, just talking in office, and sometimes those do really well. One of those is one of my 5 million viewed videos, but sometimes they don't. And another thing is a lot of my sponsors don't want to advertise anything from January through March because it's the winter and they want to save money, and they might not also pay for sponsorships. But January through March may be when I start paying for a lot of videos to be produced, like flights and courses, and I guess that's the main stuff. That's the main of it. And that put me in a last year. Right now we're in budgets. I actually blurred out all these numbers on my YouTube channel because my YouTube channel, I really just want to keep it about motorcycles, but this channel is about money and business. So you are not going to see me show this anywhere else but here. Right now we're just in December for 2024 in the budget section, but what I can show you is the average of each. So if I click on AdSense, my average for like the 3 months before December was about almost $7,000 in AdSense. So it'll show you like that quarterly average. And affiliates, I can usually expect about $1,600. Ooh, December was a good month for affiliates. Normally I don't shout out my affiliate sites, they're just in the description. That's why I don't make so much on them, but in November for Black Friday, I did make a video all on my affiliates and the stuff I use in videos. So memberships, the average right there as well. Sponsorships has been averaging, at least in 3 months, 7,000. But here's the thing, come January, February, March, sponsorship may be zero. So that $7,000 I got used to for like 9 months ain't coming in. So what's really helpful about that is what I can do too is you can kind of edit your budget and estimate what you're gonna make for that month. So usually I don't change this, but sometimes if I really want to track, and especially when I'm going through months that are very different from the next, then I'll do that and I can know what I'm expected to make and what I'm expected to spend that month to see if I'm gonna be in cash flow, if I'm gonna be in the negative. And some months have been different. Like, let me just go through some of the months so you can see it. So here's December. November was good cash flow. October was in the negative. September, good cash flow. August, okay cash flow. July, 4,000 cash flow. Now I'm gonna go back in time. I'm gonna find the month early in 2024 where I made the big mistake. Here we go, negative. Oh, May was good. No, May was recovered. March, negative. February, really negative. January, negative. So you've seen where the bulk of my income comes from. And my biggest regret is not starting off with a business. I know YouTubers that I know of that start YouTube with a business already. Like say they already have a product they're selling, or they already have a course, or they already do consulting or something. When they start like that, then their views and their AdSense isn't really that big of a deal because it all supplements an existing business. And those people do so well because the whole point of YouTube is to find people who actually care about the video and the topic to watch it. And if you care about the topic and the video, then you probably care about whatever business they have too. If you're starting a YouTube channel, start thinking about something you can sell as early as possible. And the higher the dollar, the better worth your time it will be. And the more hands-off it'll be, the better worth time it'll be. I've sold some things, like I sold a calendar for about $20. I've sold a little booklet for also about $20. And me and Cody were packing those orders in my living room. So it wasn't a ton of money. It was great for the month. I was probably maybe like a couple $1,000s for not a lot of my time, but it was still time that I could have been spent on my videos, which at the end of the day is still one of the most important things to me for the channel. If you found this interesting or you just want to learn more about this, you can see specifically how much YouTube paid me for 1 million views on 5 different videos in this video next.